Hey, everybody. I'm Laura Whitmore with Positive Grid and the Women's International Music Network, and I'm totally stoked to bring you today's She Rocks Roundtable. I've got Helen eBay with me, Anna Sentina, Courtney Cox, and Gretchen Menn. Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
We are totally stoked to be chatting about guitar and, of course, Spark. We're celebrating the final countdown of Spark. It's your last chance to get the 25% off pre-order pricing. It's in stock now, and we've all been enjoying it, right, guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I wanted to start off just by chatting a little bit with you guys to see what have you been up to in the last couple months during this crazy lockdown time? Have you been able to be creative? Anna, let's start with you.
Yeah, extremely creative, which is probably the biggest and maybe only positive that has come out of this whole entire mess. I've definitely been able to spend the time, being able to do things that I didn't normally get the chance to do, just because we haven't been able to go outside, see friends, see people, even interact in face-to-face type of situations at all. So I've definitely taken advantage of it, been able to write a lot, do collaborations that I've been wanting to do for a long time but haven't been able to. And overall, I've been really grateful to have that be part of my life right now currently with all the negative happening.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear that at least there's something positive going on here. How about you, Gretchen? What have you been doing?
I've been hanging out at home, which I feel like I didn't think that I traveled that much until I stopped traveling. And then it was like, oh my God, I have not seen my house and my cats this much ever. So yeah, I've been trying to stay busy, trying to use the time to practice stuff that I always want more time to practice and write more and like I said, do like a bunch of collaborations and things like that. So I'm trying to use the time. I'm trying to make decisions so that I'll be glad that I used the time the way that I did, even though sometimes it can, some days you wake up and you're like, what is going on? But
yeah, it's like the weird new normal, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Helen? You are like on a totally different part of the planet.
Yeah,
Nigeria, right? So how are things going for you?
I'm in Lagos, Nigeria. I have been able to really take advantage of this period. I really got the beauty of solitude and being alone and doing stuff alone. Sometimes it's really beautiful to just like leave everything and just come into your own self and create stuff like from within. And which I've done so far. I've been able to do some collabs with a couple of awesome musicians and just like build my YouTube and my social media presence and just do things that I hadn't had the time to do. I've also done some tracks on a couple of songs that were great. And I've just been, keeping busy, and it's been great, really good.
Isn't it weird how like busy we can be and wonder like how did we live before? I was like you, Gretchen. I was traveling all over the planet and getting stuff done, and now I'm like, how did I do that? I don't know. Courtney, hey, what's been going on with you?
Hello, you can hear me.
Oh, there you are.
Everyone else, I haven't been home this long. To do anything probably since I started touring, and that was 16 years ago. Just living out of a suitcase for the last 16 years. So it's very strange I can sit down and practice. I can sit down and finish an album, not have to worry about going to LAX at 5 in the morning every day, that kind of thing. It's even gotten to the point where I'd fill my suitcase and walk out the door just to fool my cats because they're so confused while I'm home. But it's just, as terrible as the situation is for everyone, it's nice to be able to use the time wisely, and you never know when you're going to have this again. So just be
yeah. I mean, it is sort of like pet paradise, right? Like our pets are all so happy to have us home. Somebody's happy that we're home. So funny. So, I mean, you mentioned practicing. I'd love to know what you guys look at as your practice routine. Do you have one? Like, what's your go-to thing to do to keep your chops up? Well, how about let's start with you, Courtney.
I mean, I do what I've always done since I started. You know, I try to figure out a routine that it's quality over quantity. So, you know, I'll sit down and designate maybe 15 minutes to a half hour tops just to really learn new things and stuff. Then other than that, just, you know, be a little kid again, jamming along to my favorite tunes. Nothing too crazy.
That's fun. How about you, Gretchen? What's your practice routine?
It changes, but what every so often I try to kind of rethink it. And right now I'm enjoying kind of dividing it up where like I do about an hour for growth. So trying to do something that's like new or that I really can't do. And then an hour of projects, whatever that might be, you know, like if it's a demo or something I have coming up. And then I try to spend at least an hour, maybe two, like writing, composing. And then if I have extra time, you know, just jamming along to things, you know, having fun, you know, like Courtney said, carving out that time every day to connect with why you play your instrument. I think it's important to keeping it from feeling like it becomes a grind.
Mm-hmm. So is that like 4 hours a day of working with your guitar?
I try to. Yeah. That's what I like. Yeah. I mean, if I'm not touring, I like to have that much. I don't find that I get much productive stuff done. It's one thing if I'm in a rehearsal or if I'm doing a session or something like that. But in terms of like focused practice, I don't feel like I'm good after about 4 hours. I mean, and I don't mean 4 straight hours. I just mean 4 hours of really devoting my attention to something. Like when people practice 8-9 hours a day, I don't know how they can do that in shower also.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. Anna, what's your go-to practice thing that you do?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of a mixture of what Courtney and Gretchen have said already. It really depends on what I'm working on at the moment. Like if there's something that I really want to focus writing on, I'll definitely spend my time doing that. But at the same time, I really like practicing things that challenge me, and that changes also. Like it, you know, depending on what I'm working on at the time, the projects, if I'm, for example, I was working on something really heavy metal based a few weeks ago, and I was writing for it, but at the same time, I was like, wow, this is really fast. Like what I ended up writing for it. And I was like, okay, I need to get my chops up and like, you know, really practice my speed right now. So that's what I was focusing on a few weeks ago. For the next few weeks, I'll be focusing on more like impromptu jamming. So yeah, it totally depends.
Mm-hmm. And Helen, what do you do to keep it going?
For me, I don't have a rigid routine. I just like to go with the flow. Sometimes your brain just doesn't work and you're there for like hours and you're not really doing anything. Like Courtney said, it's more like quantity over quality. You can spend like 1 hour doing something and you get a lot than spending like 7 hours or a gazillion hours doing something and you find out that at the end of the day you don't even get anything. You just end up like mentally wearing yourself out. So I like to get inspiration by listening to music. Like I like to discover new artists that I've never heard before and just like listen to different styles and just like get ideas, get concepts, listen to different people that I've never heard, just like be open-minded and just like challenge myself into incorporating like different styles into my practice or my songwriting or whatever it is that I do. So for me, that's just what it is. I like to go with the flow. I'm like a free spirit and just do what I want. Yeah.
Well, I want to know, like, who are you listening to now? Who's inspiring you right now?
Right now I've been into like bluesy stuff, and Josh Smith has been amazing. Eric Gales is crazy. Songwriting people, I'll say Michael Kiwanuka. He's really good. I don't know if you guys have heard him. And then Jackie Benson has been really good too. And of course, I love smooth jazz like Jackie Benson and Norman Brown, and a few people that I discovered. I can't really remember their names, some of their names, but I've just been listening to like different people, and it's been awesome.
Oh, cool. So Helen, I watched your video where you shared the story of your first guitar. And I thought that was like so cool. So I wanted to ask all you guys, like, can you share like what was your first guitar and how did you like come across its path? So I'm gonna go back to you, Helen, but let's start with you, Courtney.
Well, it's about 13, and before I discovered guitar, I played clarinet, the typical band school thing. And it was just one Christmas around 13 that I just went to my parents and I want a guitar, and they found it very strange. They're like, yeah, why not? Just something different. So they took me. I was living outside Philly at the time, but they took me to a local mom and pop music shop in a place called Springfield. And I didn't know what I was getting, and I just picked some $50 Court. Like, it was probably a third hand-me-down by then. It was like, well, it was terrible, but I mean, just how I got it, everything was falling apart on it. But after a week, I was playing along with songs, and just it's all in the fingers. Doesn't really matter what you have, but it was a cute little story. So I still have it too.
That's cool. What's your go-to guitar now?
Comparison. I actually have a signature model, so my baby.
Nice. How about you, Anna? Like, what was your first instrument, and what are you playing now?
Oh, I was really young. My parents got me a piano, a Roland electric piano, because my mom had recently put me in piano lessons, and of course I didn't have anything to practice on for a while. So she went out and really got me a really generous piano from Roland, which is funny because those are still the only pianos and keyboards I use today. And then I ended up getting endorsed by Roland several years later. And I don't know, it was kind of a funny story because, like I said, those were the only pianos and keyboards I used. And then eventually they ended up messaging me, and they were like, oh, we would love for you to be one of our artists. And they were my first endorsement. So yeah, it was kind of like a law of attraction type of thing, I think.
That's cool. What about for bass? Like, how did you pick that up?
So for bass was actually the last instrument I picked up. So that was when I was 14. I had already started playing piano and guitar. For bass, it's also kind of a funny story. I was in School of Rock when I was, quite young, and School of Rock makes it, the point of School of Rock is basically to learn as much as you can. And one of those things is being able to pick up several different instruments. So especially if you're already a guitar player, you're definitely going to pick up bass at one point, at least at the school that I went to. So I was in the house band there, and we were figuring out which songs to play, and for the several gigs that we would play a bunch of times a week. And my music director at the time, she handed me a bass, and she was like, okay, here we go. We're going to play Tom Sawyer now. And I was like, oh, what? Okay, great. That's cool. So that was the first song I learned on bass. And yeah, that was the first time I picked up bass.
That's pretty cool. And what instrument, what's your go-to instrument that you use now for bass?
So I use this one actually right here. This is my number one go-to, but all of the ones I use now are by Kiesel.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And Gretchen, what's your story?
Mine's a kind of a boring one. Basically the first guitar that I have is the same guitar that I keep, well, the same model that I play now, Music Man Silhouette. So I just kind of, got married to my first instrument.
You've been very faithful.
Well, they were very good to me. So when I started getting interested in guitar is when I found out that my dad had been a music journalist. I knew he was a writer, but I don't know. I didn't really pay much attention to what my parents, the specifics of what they did. And so we went and we took a tour of the Ernie Ball factory because my dad, knew the family, and I had saved up some money and I wanted actually a Steve Morse model, and they sort of talked me out of it. They're like, you need a degree in electrical engineering to even know how to work those, like the 17 different pickup configurations you could have. So they were like, what? Maybe a Silhouette would be better for you. So I was like, oh, I don't know. Okay, maybe. And then I went and I saw it, and I basically just said, yeah, like I want that. Like let me know what I owe you, because I had been saving up for a couple of years. And then they just said they were going to give it to me. So in that moment, I just said, okay, if I ever make anything of myself, then like I'll be loyal to them as long as they want. I mean, for a company to give somebody a guitar just, you know, to be that cool, I was like, all right, done.
Yeah. It's a cool guitar
Unfortunately,
too.
I love them.
Yeah.
So I could have hooked up with with not as good of a company. So I'm very lucky.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Helen, why don't you share a little bit about your first guitar, what you're playing now, all that fun stuff.
Okay, my first guitar was an acoustic guitar that I can't remember the name because I lost it. That guitar I would never forget. It was bought by my music teachers. Like I went to an informal music school. Like a bunch of guys just like came together and said, "Oh, let's just teach these children music from church." And then my mom could not afford to buy me one. And then my teachers, like two of them, brought some money and they went to like this flea market and they saw a good acoustic guitar and they bought it and gave it to me. I loved it. And I used it for a couple of times. And when I wanted to use an electric, I will just borrow from my friends or something. And I saved up to buy this really nice Les Paul wannabe, like a replica of a Les Paul that I shared on YouTube. And yeah, that was the first guitar I bought with my hard-earned money. It was so good because I had saved up for it for the longest time, and buying it was like, oh my God, I finally have my very own guitar.
Yeah.
And it was really good because the joy I felt having it, I would never forget it. I would never sell it. I would never get rid of it. It's here and it will always be very loyal, just always there. So yeah, that was my
That's
first
awesome.
guitar.
And so what are you playing now? What's your go-to guitar now?
This is another one that I really love. It's a Fender Telecaster. I'm a Tele girl, so yeah, I play Telecaster.
Awesome. So we're here to celebrate Spark, the Spark amp. And, as I mentioned before, it's a final countdown. So last chance to get the 25% off pre-order pricing. But I wanted to ask you guys, what's been your experience with Spark? What's your favorite feature? Like, what have you loved about Spark? Anybody volunteering to stop first? No volunteers. Oh, Courtney, yes, we have a winner.
I mean, where do you start? There's just so many things and the versatility of it. Even just when I would first receive mine, I was just blown away because I'm a tone snob. Like, I've gone through so many amps, and if it can't get my ear within 30 seconds, it's out the door. That was one of the first things. Like, not even using the app. None of the really cool features. It was just straight off the amp itself. You just dialed it in, boom, out the gate. Then from there, the other thing that really was a big thing for me was the ability to go USB into your DAW recording. Once again, I have no patience to sit there and figure out tweak stuff in Logic, but it was just so convenient just to be able to boop, right USB, you're good to go. Especially demoing and when you can't really blast at the half stack. And then, and then diving into the app and little things you can do with that, the jam thing and the drummer thing on it. There's just so many things that really blew me away. And yeah.
Awesome.
Now, especially at home.
Yeah, especially at home, right? It's little
Convenient.
We're here.
Even when we get back to touring, it'll definitely be coming along. So.
Yeah, that's cool. How about you, Helen? What do you like about Spark?
I think the first thing, obviously, that you've noticed is the design, the way it is built. I'm a small person, so I kind of like cute little small things. And this is just the best thing for me because it is small, it is handy, it is portable. I like the design, the gold and the black, and the way the knobs are. And then I like the fact that I can operate it with my phone. Like, it's just so convenient for me. And then the tone cloud is amazing too. Like, you can see what people put up. You can get really good sounds from the tone cloud, just like it's just like people watching for me. It's like, let me just see what this person is up to. Like, just trying to like peek how people get their sounds and just like, watch people make sounds. And I think that's an amazing thing. And it just has really cool tones. It is just an amazing amp, really. It is really, and the Bluetooth, oh God, It is so cool. I think it's
Yeah.
really cool. I use it all the time. It's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is
Cool.
one of my favorite features. Mm-hmm.
How about you, Anna?
So for me, the first noticeable thing was the tone that I got right away. It was crazy. I remember just plugging it in and I was like, okay, I'm using a bass, so I'm gonna have to dial it in and, you know, take some time. And no, I really didn't, which was mind blowing for me. I was like, wow, okay, immediately sounds great. But then also when I started using the app, because the videos I did with the Spark on my YouTube channel, I wanted to do covers, so cover-based type of videos. And when I was looking through the app, and I was like, okay, great, like, you know, I know that there's something here that I can use to be able to maneuver around better. But I was really blown away at how clean everything was on the app and how easy everything was to find. So one of the covers was a Dua Lipa song. And they typed in, tabs were all there, perfectly written out. I was seriously mind blown by that. And that was probably the most convenient part for me, because I do really enjoy dialing in a tone, but even just not having to do that right away was really great. So yeah, I swear by it too.
That's awesome. And Gretchen, what do you think?
I mean, everybody said like anything I could really add, but it's like just a quick recap. The versatility is insane. I feel like I've barely scratched the surface on what this amp can do. Some of the things about like being able to like, what is it, like go into YouTube and it like transcribes stuff to like jam along. I haven't even looked at that, but when I was reading about it, I'm like, are you serious? So that, and I think most importantly, how it sounds. Like Courtney said, I'm a big old tone snob as well, and I tend to like tube amps, and to be able to plug into something that's this small, this convenient, this also good of a price point. You know, it's something I can really feel good about recommending to people who are just getting started and being like, this is all you're going to need for a while. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's great. I mean, the sounds are awesome. The interface, it isn't like you have to be super geeked out to just, it's very intuitive, and it's easy to control. You can go really deep with the geekery, but you don't have to. So I feel like it's just got so many options.
I like that word, geekery. Yeah, I mean, I'm an acoustic guitar player myself, and I actually really loved how it sounds for acoustic. Like even just the tone that's right there in the preset, it's very cool, you know, and kind of shimmery and nice. So, and same thing, I used it to plug into a DAW, and it was just so easy. So it's pretty cool for me too. Even though I'm slightly biased, but still. Let's see. I just want to ask you guys, you know, I think of all of you as role models for other, you know, young female musicians out there, actually female musicians of all ages. And I'm wondering, like, have you interacted with fans that are also players, and have you had any interesting experiences, you know, in that regard? Does anyone have any thoughts about that? How about you, Gretchen?
Um, well, yeah, I mean, it's great. I think I always am looking to what I want to do better, you know, and so being able to talk with somebody who, for some reason, was moved or inspired by something you do is always kind of a trip, and it's like it's really lovely. I had this really sweet like 13-year-old girl come to this gig I did in Germany, and she had drawn a picture of me and everything. It was just like, you know, those kinds of things where you just think, man, like how did this happen? And you know, I try to do my best to be accessible as much as I realistically can, you know, and if it means like answering questions or, you know, just giving somebody a thumbs up or, you know, a little boost of confidence on their path, like, you know, I feel like people have been so good to me. I'm more than happy to pay it back. I mean, I feel honored that it's even an option.
Courtney, have you had experience with that too?
Yeah, just, just to touch on what Gretchen said, it's just very, I know when I started, I always say, I play for myself, it's my passion, but when you're on stage, you look out to the crowd, I mean, regardless of age, gender, anything, it's just, you tend to go, wow, but what I'm doing, the thing I'm doing for myself and my own joy is bringing joy to all these people. It takes you back a bit. Yeah, and after every show, I go out in the crowd, talk to everyone, give tips, and if I was on the stage, I would be that person in the crowd looking up, thinking that was, unreachable. When I was a kid looking at, all the players I idolized, like, how do I get there? How do I do that? Like, you feel like you can never get there, but it's just, you need like an artist like that to reach out. Like, you can do it. I did it. We all start off somewhere, and yeah, it's just, I love every second of it. The interaction, with fans, and good to see where everything's going. It's all uphill. That's all I have to say about
You had
that.
encounters with fans there too?
Yes, all the time. It makes everything worth it.
Yeah. Helen, have you had that experience too? Have you had fans be inspired by what you do?
Yeah, I do get that sometimes, and it's crazy. It never gets old knowing that you inspire someone. It's just like this really gratifying feeling that, like Courtney said, no, you're just enjoying yourself, and knowing that by enjoying yourself, you're, making other people happy, you're inspiring them, you're encouraging them. It's just a great feeling, and it's impossible to reply to every message, every it's different social media platforms. You have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have your emails, you have YouTube. It's like not possible to reply to everything, but I try as much as I can to reach out. Like Gretchen said, just a like, a thumbs up, just to encourage someone. And I don't know, maybe I'm biased, but I lean toward girls the most because I'm a girl, and I kind of, we need lots of girls doing this thing and like going for it, and like it can be really intimidating because we have been there, we know how it is, and just to encourage someone out there, I do it all the time, and I will always do it. Yeah. It's a great feeling.
Anna, do you have anything to add? Do you have that experience as well?
Yeah, of course, I really agree with what everyone has mentioned. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things about music is just by doing something that you are so passionate about, you influence so many other people. And that's probably one of my most favorite things about being a musician who goes out, being on YouTube. And, I definitely don't want to say I try to influence other people, but the fact that that happens just by me being so passionate about what I do and having other people, want to reach out and want to talk to me and see where I've come from and see how to get where I'm at also is really, it inspires me back also because it makes me feel like I'm doing something right just by following what my gut is telling me and doing something that makes me so happy. So yeah, really agree with what everyone has said so far.
Yeah, it's almost like it's like a bonus, right? You're doing your thing and you're hoping you're doing the right thing. And then when somebody comes back to you and says, oh, like, wow, you inspired me, or I appreciate so much what you do, you're like, oh, like, holy crap, somebody like, that's awesome. That's like an extra added awesomeness to what's happening. I'm just wondering, we're going to wrap up soon, but I'm wondering, do you guys have a tip that you would like to share with up and coming guitarists who want to be just like you? Anna, let's start with you. What's your number one tip for people besides besides use Spark, but
yeah, besides that, as I mentioned like a minute ago, I think if I were to tell myself something several years ago, the most important thing is to trust your gut. I truly feel like, trust your heart, follow your heart, trust your gut, because, it honestly, if the music industry has taught me anything, it's to really just believe in yourself and to go along with what you think is right. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay, awesome. How about you, Helen?
Yeah, I agree. Anna. Totally go for it. Nobody can tell you anything less. Go for it. Do it if you want to do it. You can be way better than anybody that you're looking at. Like there is more to life. There is more to everything. Go for it. Do it. If you work hard, it will show. Talent does not hide. Talent cannot hide. Somehow, somewhere, you would be noticed. You would be found. And you have your own family. You have people that really support you. Somehow you will. If you work hard, it will show. It cannot hide. That's what I would say. Like totally go for it. Whatever your gut is telling you, whatever your instincts are telling you, they're most times right. So do it. Do it. Don't let anyone tell you that.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need a pep talk from Helen every day. How about you, Gretchen? What's your tip, Gretchen? What do you think?
Well, in total agreement with what was already said, I think just don't compare yourself to others, though it can be very tempting to do so. Be inspired by them, but don't compete. And remember and try to stay consistently aware of what makes you love music, and make sure you devote your energy towards that. There's the opportunity for a lot of distraction in this industry. And I think just trying to always come back to what makes you unique, and to continue to try to find who that is, because we don't need any replicas of other people. We're the only ones who can write our music and who can play our music. That's not to say that the influence isn't there, and influence can't be inspiration, but celebrating what makes you unique, I think, is the most powerful thing.
Cool. Thanks. And Courtney.
See, I love all these.
What do you think?
I love all these answers, and because usually this question is one of those, even since I started, I dread it all the time. I remember being a little kid that can't wait to get my magazines to get the tips from my favorite players, and it'd be like, practice. I'm like, great, perfect.
That tip's a given. Everybody has to practice.
To further everyone else's answers, yes, it's all about passion. Even when you come to a bump in the road, you got to remember why you picked up the instrument. What does it do for you? Your joy. Never forget that. And another big thing is you got to learn the business. A lot of people, they'll learn their instrument, and then, I was one of them. I left home 19 to move out to California, and I was so green. I mean, I could play anything. Like, I thought I could play anything. But, if you don't really learn the business and all that side of things, you could be eaten alive, So I definitely learned the business, because especially now with the world of social media and, all this, you're building your brand. You are your own brand. So you really need to be in touch with that side of things. And my biggest thing right now is study as hard as I can, quality practice, and my biggest goal, it's not me, Miss Rockstar everywhere, is to go from being known as a player, taking it from guitar player, bass player, I play keyboards, this, blah, blah, to musician. That's my biggest goal. And I think everyone just get up to be known as a musician and focus that way. Don't worry about taking over the world, be a part of it. Because right now, all we need music, and the more new music and this and that coming out is just make the world a better place.
Awesome.
That was a lot.
Thank you. See, you had a lot to say. Well, I really want to thank you guys for joining me today. I want to thank Positive Grid for hosting us. Please check out Spark. I think there's a link in the description. You can find out more and get a great deal. And I would just want to thank you guys. Thank you, Helen, Anna, Gretchen, and Courtney. I can see I see Gretchen pointing at the Spark. I got my Spark. All right, guys. Yeah, have a great day. Thanks so much. And take care, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.